is dedicated to being inclusive, and that can mean something different to everybody. But this isn't just about job equality and opportunities. It's about how you include all types of people in all walks of life in your everyday conversations and encounters, right?
In your everyday life, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, and there is something called that unbiased consciousness, right? Where you're doing things without even thinking, and it could have a lot to do with how you're raised or some predispositions that you have from things that you're exposed to in your younger life. So we want to bring this to your attention so that we can be mindful and more inclusive in our everyday lives with a few tips. And I'm going to start with just something as simple as using inclusive language. Consider somebody's race, gender, disability, medical, or other needs, or maybe don't consider that, and consider everyone equal in the way that you communicate in your daily life. This also includes your nonverbal communication.
I love that you say that.
Yeah. So the faces you make, the way you adjust yourself towards somebody, if you fold your hands when you're having a conversation with a certain type of person. Yes, absolutely. Now, it's one thing if you're having a bad day, like we can't control that. Everyone has bad days, but your language is huge. So just be mindful of that and mindful of the words that you think are acceptable in everyday conversations. Do some research and find out if those today are acceptable for all walks of life.
I love it, Clarissa. If only I had my handy dandy notebook, I'd be writing notes right now.
But Living's here for you. Watch it.
Exactly. But we're not done yet. So you can also be conscious of and challenge stereotypes. I love this one. Stereotypes can make you miss your inclusion goals as an individual, colleague, or boss at work. First, identify the stereotypes that you know are preventing you to become more inclusive. So challenge these stereotypes that are deep in your belief and value system that otherwise make you act exclusive and unfair.
I totally agree with that. Another thing you want to do is just ask the right questions, not only to others, but to yourself.
Right.
I'm kind of a blabbermouth, so I tend to just spit things out before I even think about what I'm going to say. Y'all didn't pick up on that, right?
You know, I will say this. I think you always provide the best advice.
Thank you.
You're very authentic. You're real with everything that you say and what you provide as far as what you tell people. So I think that's important.
Well, I do appreciate that, but regardless, there's always room for improvement, right? So although I'm a conversational person, I think there's room for me to ask questions internally before I have a conversation with somebody. Is this a respectful question? Am I taking the right approach? Would I appreciate being asked the same question? And sometimes it's better to just zip it and then let them do the talking and see what they want to talk about.
I have to say. You can also, of course, be open-minded. When talking and associating with people, becoming inclusive is not one-day affair. It's not a one-day affair. It is also not an objective to be achieved. So be open-minded each day.
Yes, I love that. And last but not least, develop your empathy. I promise, I swear, that some people just are not born with it, and it's something that does need to be trained. But when you're empathetic and when the first thing you consider when you're interacting with somebody is how it would make you feel if it were the other way around, I think that's the best way to communicate in general.
One thing about Clarissa and I is that we are very, very much empaths, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And you can be too.